Uh, First of all, welcome everyone to Agile Coaching Roundtable. Today is the 10th session and fourth session in our ongoing Scrum Master series. Today we are going to talk about what does a Scrum Master do in a sprint, or maybe how does a life of a Scrum Master looks like in a sprint. Okay, let's get started. Let me share my screen. Let me know if you all are able to see my screen. And let me turn off my camera as well so that we don't have any network issues. All right. So before we start with this topic, I would like to just understand or know rather how many of you are married over here. Can anyone tell me how many of you are married or even planning to get married? Okay, Vinith is married. All right. Uh, Shankar is also married. Okay. The reason why I asked is, okay, the reason why I appreciate Sushant for turning on the camera. It becomes more like interactive rather than just uh, talking to just a profile pics. Yeah. So the reason why I asked how many are you of you are married is because what happens is whenever uh, someone asks me that what does a Scrum Master do, or in a sprint, or what are the roles and responsibilities of a Scrum Master, I just relate to this analogy. So basically, what I would want to just convey over here is, while you were getting married, or after getting married, or maybe before you were planning to get married, did anyone tell you how to lead a marriage life? Or, I mean, what to do in your daily life to be successful in your marriage? No, right? All you know is, or maybe people would have told you, how can you become a better husband or a wife, a better son-in-law, daughter-in-law, mom, dad, and so on and so forth. But no one will ever tell you, or would not make sense rather if someone tells you that what you have to do in your daily life so that you are successful. Why is that so? That is because if I tell my experience of a married life, or maybe if Vivek tells, or if someone tells, that may or may not be applicable for everyone out there in their marriages. Why is that so? Because people involved in our marriage and in our family are different. So, what all are the challenges that you are going to face in your marriage life are not going to be same as mine, right? I would have got my own set of challenges and difficulties, and I deal with those challenges and difficulties in my own way. And whereas you would be dealing in your own way, that doesn't mean that whatever applies for me would also apply for you as well. At the most, everyone would or maybe more people can give you guidelines, like this is how your marriage life would look like, and this is what you are ideally supposed to do. You would have to strive hard every day, work on with your partner to make it a successful marriage, collaborate with everyone in your family, uh, but no one will tell you that these are all the problems. I mean, no one can give that template to you that these are all the problems that you will face in your marriage, or exactly these are all the problems. how do you tackle it is very personal to an individual. So similarly, a role of a Scrum Master is also more or less the same. Why I am saying this is, though you are working in a role of a Scrum Master in a project, not necessary that the problems that I have faced in my team, you would also face the exact same problems. Problems could be similar but not same, is what I'm trying to say. And how would you deal with that problem is what your creativity will teach you, or your experience will teach you. So one cannot exactly tell you that this is the way or a perfect way to kind of work as a Scrum Master, or this is a success formula, or maybe this is a template using which you can lead your role of a Scrum Master, and so on and so forth. Each and every person has got their own set of challenges, problems, because everyone is dealing with different set of people. Not everyone is same, and since people are not same, the problems will not be also same, right? So there is no particular template using which we can say that this is what a role of a Scrum Master can be. This is how a role of a Scrum Master can be led. However, we can just tell you or give you the guidelines of what a role of a Scrum Master can be. Similarly, in a marriage, someone can tell you that what are the roles and responsibilities of a wife or an husband or a husband. But how to do that, how to take up that roles and responsibilities, something an individual has to figure out on their own. So exactly same way, you have to figure out on your own how are you going to take up your own roles and responsibility with your own team. So that is the whole idea. So why I have given you this context is, tomorrow if you face some difficulties in your project as a Scrum Master or an Agile coach, maybe if you go and ask for a particular template, or maybe tell someone that, can you tell me how do I proceed, or what do I do, where do I start from, no one will be able to give that justification, because no one is like can predict the problem beforehand. That's the whole point. Having said that, we can definitely tell you what are the roles and responsibility, or in general how does the life of a Scrum Master look like, or maybe how can generally a life of a marriage can be led. So similarly, we will tell you how life can be led of a Scrum Master, but exactly how you can do it is something no one would be able to tell you. That is very subjective to the individual. So let's get back to the presentation. Okay. First of all, I would like to bust some myth. People feel that it's a role and responsibility of a Scrum Master to take care of deliverables of team. No. Taking care of deliverables of team is not the roles and responsibility of a Scrum Master. It is something the ownership and accountability lies with the development team. It is not the responsibility of the Scrum Master to take care of the deliverables. So first and foremost thing, you should keep this in mind, that you're not responsible for taking care of the deliverables. If someone tells you to take care of the deliverables, then they are setting up a wrong context and wrong expectation. You can very well tell them, or maybe explain them why is it so. Okay, now what is the starting point? How do we start? Now you have joined this project as a Scrum Master, or this organization and this as a Scrum Master. So there are two possibilities. One is there would already be a Scrum Master whom you would be replacing, or it would be a new position altogether. If it is, if you're filling up someone else's shoes as a Scrum Master, or you're replacing someone, your starting point would be understand what this Scrum Master does, and what are the challenges, this that we have already seen in our previous sessions. And if you have not watched it already, I'll link that tag in the YouTube on the top right corner. You can have a look at that. And after you have done all those researches and understood what you have done, but now you are full-fledged working as a Scrum Master on your own. So what would be your starting point? So what you can do is, first you can check where is your team in terms of Scrum values. What are the Scrum values? This is something I would expect a Scrum Master to typically know. So what are the Scrum values? Focus, openness, respect, courage, and commitment. So I would expect a Scrum Master to know these values. Now, as a starting point, just check where is your team in terms of these values. Why I'm saying this as a starting point? You will at least get some direction what or how you need to proceed and where you have to focus on, which is that area that you have to focus on. First is focus. Just see whether your team is focused to achieve their goal or not. If not, then what you'll have to do to get that focus back. That will give you a direction. Next is openness. Just see if team members are open with each other and giving out points, raising or sharing their thoughts openly or not. That will give you a point, a starting point. Okay, if they're not doing, then what can you do to achieve that? Next is respect. Just see the environment, whether the environment is safe, whether they respect each other or they just pull down each other. You will get some direction over there as well. Okay, if there is a lack of respect, then you know how to proceed in this case or what needs to be done so that team members respect each other. Next point is courage. Are they courageous enough to point out what has gone wrong? When I say point out, we are not pointing out anyone's mistake over here. We are asking them to be courageous enough to come up with points or improvements or suggestions openly. This is something most of Scrum Masters complain that that is lacking in their team. And last is commitment. Are they committed to achieve their goal or not? So this would be one direction wherein you can move further in your sprint. What is the other?
Tell me where and how is it going? I don't know. On the banana me now. Please don't fuck with me. Serious, I don't
Please,
know. Start to
can
put down
anyone
all of it.
speak? Is anyone speaking? If not, then I will go on mute. All right. So what is the other point or other direction that we can move ahead with? So this is the another direction. Just check what does your team need to achieve or where is your team in terms of empiricism. Now, what is empiricism? What are the pillars of empiricism? The pillars are transparency, inspect, and adapt. So these three pillars, transparency, inspect, and adapt, you will get or you will have to utilize every opportunity to just check where are you on these 3 points, that is transparency, inspect, and adapt. You should try to see whether team is transparent in terms of everything, transparent in terms of their deliverables or goal or transparency in terms of opinion, whatever it could be. Is there a transparency between team members? And just are they inspecting or can you inspect what they are doing, and based on that can you adapt to new things, new changes or not? Every event, if I have to say, not just event, every opportunity in your sprint, you should see whether your team is following this empiricism or not. You will have to check the transparency, inspect, and adapt at every opportunity. So these are the two starting points, I would say. One is towards the Scrum values where your team is, and towards the empiricism where your team is and what your team, if no, what your team needs to achieve these three pillars. So this would be your starting point in doing your or doing or achieving your role as a Scrum Master. Okay. So apart from that, what are the normal duties of a Scrum Master? What does a Scrum Master do? Obviously, the first point is facilitate Scrum events. So what are the Scrum events? Sprint planning, daily stand-up call. Now daily stand-up calls are called as Scrum call. Sprint review, sprint retro, backlog refinement. This is not a Scrum event, but it's an ongoing activity as per the Scrum guide, and sprint is also one of the event. So facilitating all these events throughout your sprint. You already know when does your sprint planning occur, when does your stand-up call or maybe Scrum call occurs, right? So based on the frequency, you as a Scrum Master are supposed to facilitate all of the Scrum events. So now if your sprint starting on Wednesday, so your first event would be sprint planning. So facilitating the sprint planning, then daily Scrum call. So Scrum call happens for 15 minutes every day. So facilitating that call, yeah, and review that happens on the second last day or last day of the sprint. Retrospective happens on the last day of the sprint, and backlog refinement is an ongoing activity. It should happen throughout the sprint. Or maybe your team might have decided on one particular day of the sprint wherein you want to have this refinement. So you would want to facilitate all of those events as a Scrum Master. And as I've mentioned, all of these events would give you opportunity to see whether your team is transparent, inspect, and adapt. So this empiricism can be checked at every event of your sprint. Okay. Apart from this, what other duties of Scrum Master that you will have to take up? Okay. Next is remove impediment of teams. What do you mean by removing impediment of team? And how do a Scrum Master, how do you as a Scrum Master will remove an impediment of I think
I think Ramya, you can mute.
I would request people who are not speaking to please go on mute. Okay. So how do you remove impediment of team? So no one in your team or in your program would expect you to give solutions technically or maybe solve their problems on your own, right? Uh, at least they have not expect a Scrum Master to do that. So how can you do or enable them to remove the impediments? First, try to understand what that problem is, what is your team currently stuck up with. Try to see how can you help them remove that impediment. So just an example, if your team member tells you that, okay, I have this problem, I have dependency on something, and this person is a blocker for me to achieve this user story or this work item. So in that case, you need not go and resolve that technically. What you have to do is just give them the platform so that both the parties can come together and discuss about that problem, and they can remove that impediment by discussing and talking it out. So you're supposed to give that platform to people, bring the people together, have a discussion about it, and just start up that conversation. That is what you mean when you remove impediments of the team, not actually resolving that particular impediment technically or by giving solutions. So this is what removing an impediment means. And help and support product owner. So how are you going to support or help product owner? So you can support or help product owner in maybe different techniques that you may know about prioritization, or maybe you can help them in backlog refinement, or help team to understand the importance of getting the requirements clear, or maybe if the product owner wants you to take up some responsibilities in entire sprint. So if you are capable of doing that, then you can go ahead and help and support the product owner. So this way you can support your product owner. So when, what, how is something, as I mentioned, that you'll have to figure out based on the situation and the demand in your project at that point of time. Guide team in achieving the sprint goal. Now you may ask me that you mentioned that the taking care of deliverables of team is not the responsibility of the scrum master. Then how would a scrum master guide team in achieving the sprint goal? So a scrum master is responsible or accountable for helping in increasing the effectiveness of team and showing them direction in achieving the sprint goal. If you feel that team is not focused enough in achieving the sprint goal, or they are not moving into the right path in achieving that sprint goal, then you can guide them so that they move towards the right direction and they are not lost. So that is what we mean, that guide team in achieving the sprint goal, and not take care of deliverables or check the progress. Okay, what have you done today? And where are you on this? No, you can tell them, okay, is there any impediment? Is there any blocker? Are there any risks in you for you to achieve that sprint goal? If yes, then how can you resolve that? What do you think are the steps that you can take up to resolve it? So these are all the things that you can ask them, or which will help them achieve their sprint goal. So this is how you can help your team in guiding in achieving the sprint goal. Next is processes and tools. How much ever you deny that it is tools and processes are just one part of it, and that is not the only way of working in an agile way, this and that. It is, yes, it is important that processes and tools are to be taken into account. That is how anyone would expect you. So whether your team is compliant on the tool, if your team is updating their tool uh, diligently, or if the team has that discipline of updating that tool, user story, so that the reports can be reflected with the correct data, whether your team is following the processes or not. These are all are the points typically as a scrum master you can do in your sprint. So no one can tell you when you have to do this. That could be your ongoing activity, or maybe you may want to check it by end of every day, or maybe after 2 days, whatever works for you. But you'll have to take care of the processes and tools as well. There is no particular frequency anyone can tell you that you have to check, but whatever works for you as per the demand of your project, you can do that. Next is the client collaboration. What do you mean and what do you do in client collaboration? So you collaborate with the client to understand whether are there any hiccups, are there something else that they are looking out in terms of achieving some goal of your team, or are they happy with the processes? Is there something else that they are looking out from team or not? So these are all some points wherein you can check in with your client and help them in understanding. Just for an example, I collaborate with client in teaching them or coaching them the right uh, um, uh, maybe guidelines of a scrum, or whatever framework that they are working on, or agile ways of working. So I collaborate with them maybe daily, or maybe uh, every alternate days, whatever works for me, or based on the availability of the client, I definitely ensure that at least twice or thrice in a week I collaborate with the client to just check if everything is going smooth. Is that something a client is looking out for? How can I help him, or bridge that gap between the team members and the client, and so on and so forth. And the last point is organizational contribution. What do you mean by organizational contribution? So even if you check in the Scrum guide, there is a point mentioned that you have to contribute to your organization. So what do you contribute, or how can you contribute to your organization? You can contribute to the organization uh, on the Scrum framework. Maybe you want to impart some knowledge or training sessions across the organization based on the Scrum framework. Why just Scrum framework? If you are well versed with other framework, you can go ahead and do that. And maybe if you want to help stakeholders understand about agile ways of working, Scrum framework, or any agile delivery framework, or maybe you want to help the organization in terms of working on RFPs, or collaborating with other Scrum Master across the organization. You can also be a part of the agile community if you already have one, and if you do not have, then that is a very good opportunity to go ahead and start one, so that everyone, all the agile leaders or like-minded people can come together, brainstorm, and also work together, and resolve problems, come up with ideas of how better they can implement in their own team, and so on. And another point would be like, if you have to say, give your best practices that you may have applied, and you want to replicate that in your other project as well, or across the organization, or you may want to contribute in terms of conducting interviews for the said role, or as a Scrum Master or an Agile coach. So these are all good opportunities for you to contribute to your organization, apart from what you're doing in your project. So these are all the points that I could think about in terms of performing your duties as a Scrum Master. And as I mentioned, to each its own. I mean, these could be some generic ones. There would be some more specific to your organization or a project that you may want to contribute, or that that demands from you. Then you can very well go ahead and do that. But these are all the generic ones that I thought maybe would be useful. That's all I had for this session. Any point, Vivek, that you would like to contribute apart from what I have covered?
No, Ramya, I guess you have covered it pretty much well. Maybe we can keep the session open for people if they have any question around this.
Anything anyone would like to cover? Maybe even you would be working as a Scrum Master. So anything that you would like to cover?
Hi Ramya and hi Vivek. Shankar here. Just a small
Hi,
question.
Shankar.
Since everybody is having this type of work going on, we put that remove impediments. It's become a very normal term everywhere I see. Okay. From your experience, can you see which the impediment was really very peculiar or very different, which we need to solve it out? See, otherwise general impediments will be like communication failure or system failure, something this goes on, that we generally make it out. A different way of impediment, what you want to focus. Any one you solved it.
Okay.
Can be a
Vivek,
good understanding for us. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Vivek, would you like to cover first? Okay. Let me just cover that. Okay. So one, I mean, there are so many things maybe in entire course of my career that I have faced. But if I have to just pinpoint on something, it could be maybe you would say that this is not a role of a scrum master. How did you do that and all of that? But one thing I would like to just tell over here is there was this particular situation in my last organization wherein it was like just winding up things and we were just moving towards release and release date was approaching, and in UAT every time there was this peculiar issue that was cropping up every single time in UAT. There was this issue that was cropping up, and people were like clueless, as in why is that happening every time? What is that they are missing it? Every release, whenever we used to do a deployment, there was this peculiar issue that we were facing, and the structure of the team was such that it was a component team and it was not a feature based team. When I say component team, I mean that it was the team structure was based on the technology or the work that they were doing. So what was happening? The front end team was blaming the back end team. That is what the data that we are getting from the front end, from the back end. And the back end team was telling that no, we are sending the right data, but the data that is shown on UI is not correct. So no one was actually trying to do that deep dive of the problem, as in why the problem is occurring. So what I thought of doing is that every time is like everyone is just pushing on each other. So I thought this time that, okay, let's have a connect with the other Scrum Master. That is the Scrum Master of the other team. So I just called the other Scrum Master and I told that let's forget the leads, let's forget the architects, let's bring in the actual development team of both the teams together. If not entire team, maybe a representative from both the team who understands this functionality, and let's see what is going wrong. So we brought in, we just set up that call and we brought in both the parties together, and we just asked them to do a what to say, debug. Just see from the front end team which is that field that you are using, and I asked my team, you check which is the field that you are using and the values that you're passing on to the other team. So when we saw this, there was a mismatch, or we realized that instead of picking up say field 1, the other team was doing picking up data from field 2. So every time what was happening, that the field 2 was getting refreshed. So instead the constant value was stored in field 1. So this could be like very technical thing, but we thought let's get together and solve this problem for once and all, because this we are seeing every day, every release, and it's like we are getting this bug every time, and from the UAT users, and every time it gets closed for the timing and it gets reopened in the next release. So we thought, no, let's ditch all the architects now and let's focus on the picking that issue from the grassroots level. So, and to our surprise, there was already a call set up the next day with all the architects to do a deep dive of this issue. So we knew that when architects get involved, it becomes very big and this and that. So we thought, let's resolve this today itself. And we sat with that issue. And on that night, we had that call. We set up that call and we brought in just 2 representatives from each team. And then we got that issue resolved. We found that root cause, and that we immediately asked the team, and we thought maybe we would resolve this issue. So that's how we could eliminate that issue, and potential maybe a P1 or a blocker was avoided.
Good.
I don't
Thank
know
you.
if that
Thank you, Ramya. But fine point. I have one issue what I faced recently. Then I got a different solution to the management. The point is that there is a lot of disconnect between the PO as well as the developing team also. It often happens because the PO talks on the functional level, development team listens on the technical level. There is a gap here always. Okay, he talks on the functional level totally, and team thinks and imagines in a different way. When they start developing, I could see a lot of bugs were coming in. So the bugs were started increasing more and more, so that once I've been told to take up the timesheet of the team. Timesheet means in the sense that on the productive hours as well as non-productive hours, bugs they don't pay also. The point is that now the management is on my head now, saying that because of bugs, a lot of bugs going on, the client is not interested to pay for that particular hours. So we are losing around 30 to 40% of the revenue for a particular month because of the bugs problem. When I had a discussion with the team was again giving a clarity about there is no proper explanation about the particular stories or something where the PO is not about to explain it properly. Then again, I spoke to the PO. PO talks again on very clearly about the functional level, but team has to understand on the technical point again. So again, the blame game started slowly up that way. Now I understood there is a problem with the maturity level of the team. So what I did, and then I thought there is no senior member within the team, maybe a cross-functional person somewhere. So I recommended for a technical leader in the team so that he can understand what is required. The problem is, what I see here is the development team has a problem of understanding the requirement. It's not about story. Story, they're able to do something. Okay, they generally make a story version. It's a namesake. It goes on. But the technical front, what you said, like front end, back end, somewhere, even the server gets somewhere a disconnection. They're not able to make it out in time. So I thought this is the way that we have to bring one technical leader, tech lead, so that he can make a solution for the team, being a bridge between the PO and the junior team members, so that he can get the things done. And now they are just accepted now. It's about to start now. I don't know whether my approach is right or not. I don't know. What about your comments on it?
Shankar, I
Definitely,
can
I mean,
comment one thing here.
sure.
Yeah.
Ramya, can I go
Little louder, man.
Ramya, can I
Yes,
go ahead?
yes, why not,
I just,
Santosh? Please go ahead.
Please.
yeah, Shankar. Same thing we had in our team in past. What we did is in recent past, so before product owner or proxy product owner conveying about the functional thing on the story, so before coming it to the team, any functional aspect on any story, so we had a call, BATA call, like BAPO call with between business analyst, PO and technical architects. There will be a call before that requirement comes to the team. And PO and business analyst, they convey that requirement to the technical architect and they will have a discussion there on that requirement. And when that requirement comes to the team, PS or product owner will convey on the functional aspect and technical architects will convey in the technical aspect to the team. So that team, if they have any concern regarding technical thing, they will call out in that call in sprint planning or in refinements, they will call out it to the architect. If they have anything on the functional end, they will call out it to the product owner or business analyst. So, I mean, your approach is good. So if you can proceed further with the same approach
It's a
before.
small startup, Santosh. The point is, we don't have that the architect role and a little bit of like safe level. It's
If it is
yeah,
not architect, anyone like technical lead, team lead
yeah.
or technical lead in the
That was
team,
missing. Yeah, correct.
yeah, you can connect that lead with the product owner before you
Mm.
get that requirement into the team in the refinement or into the planning.
Yeah,
So then that lead will have the complete understanding of that requirement. He can
perfect.
convey team in the technical terms and product owner can convey on the functional end.
Mm. Perfect. Thank you. Yeah.
I mean, this is my
Yeah,
experience,
you're correct.
what
You're
I
correct.
faced,
Yeah.
and we had this setup done in the company, in the project. So, Ramya, you can call out if you have anything.
No. You are correct, Santosh. So as I mentioned, to each its own. So whatever works for you is the right way. There is no right or wrong way to do it. I guess even Vivek had something to add. Vivek, would you like to add?
Yes, yeah. So Shankar, whatever solution that you suggested to your existing team, maybe I wanted to just look at the other way. One way is that you mentioned that the PO is writing the stories in a functional way, and the team is trying to look the stories in more of a technical way. So as a Scrum Master, as a team, have we tried to assess whether the story writing is in an effective way? That is one question. If that thing has been not taken care of, when I'm saying it in an effective way, whether have we put in our efforts in making the story very crisp, and if the stories are taken in an approach of having some techniques around it. When we talk about techniques, whether we have ensured that the invest method was followed in splitting the story, first of all, that was taken care of or not, that also needs to be looked into. Maybe if the team has concern where they are saying that no, we are not able to relate to the story, that can be addressed in an effective way of writing stories. If that is taken care of at on one level, that can be that first level. Second level is like when we say there are a lot of defects being cropping up in the system. So when we say defects cropping up, as a team, have we taken a look at our definition of done? And if we are suppressing the definition of done, and we are going ahead and closing the stories, whether the PO is accepting those stories. If that is the case, if the PO is accepting the stories, and if still the team is getting there are too many defects being reported, there is certainly as a Scrum Master a certain time needs to be invested on the definition of done over here. That is one thing that we need to look at. And also on the third aspect, where you mentioned that you are trying to bring in a person who can act as a tech lead, or who can act as a bridge between the team and the product owner. To certain extent, maybe this might work, but then on the other hand, you are trying to create a dependency altogether on a single person, where you are not trying to make the team self-empowered altogether. So in that sense, this solution might work for you to some extent, but on the other way, we are again trying to create a dependency on a person, where he's trying to act as a bridge between the team and the PO altogether. So this were some of the points. Maybe if you have already taken care of, and if this solution did not work out, else if you have not taken a look at these things, maybe you can just reassess the situation at, on the ground to get more clarity on that.
Yeah, perfectly said, Vivek. Thank you. The first point is really noted. Actually, the stories has to be refined properly. That
Yeah.
work I need to do. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And DOD, the seriousness is lacking there. DOD is not at all properly
So
taken care.
yeah,
Very correct.
this has been my experience. I mean, as a
Yeah,
Scrum
perfect.
Master,
Yeah.
yeah, if you look at a team, and if you see there are a lot of defects being reported, not only at the UAT stage or not even by users, even within your sprint, within the development sprint, in sprint defects altogether, as a team, whenever we get into a retro, the DOD needs to be revisited.
Yeah.
That is the first gate that I call, first gate where we can get hold, or try to get things under control. Refine your DOD, make it more strict, make it more difficult for a team to ensure that we are committing and we are able to close the story. Meeting those DOD parameters should be difficult for the team. When I say difficult, it should be in a way that they are ensuring everything is taken care of, right from unit test cases writing, right from review process, right from peer process. Everything has to be in place. And once your DOD is in a refined manner, your reporting of defects at each level will keep on reducing. Just reassess those things.
Yeah. Yeah. Super. Noted. Thank you, Vivek. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope we answered you, Shankar.
Yeah, certainly, Ramya. Thank you.
Thank you for joining the session today. and we will meet again on next Friday with a new topic. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ramya. Thank you,
Thank you.
Vivek. Thank you all. Good night.
Thanks, Shankar. Thanks, Joey. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Ramya.